When it comes to Food Network challenges, curveball ingredients are the norm. But when you give a judge chicken nuggets, don't ever try to call it piccata, unless you want to be called out on national television, that is. Scott Conant doesn't like raw onions. The whole world learned this when both Aisha Nurjaya and Joshua Wiggum included raw red onion on their appetizer dishes in a 2009 Chopped episode. Conant made it clear that he wasn't a fan and advised them against using raw red onions. Neither of them listened to that advice. In the entree round, Wiggum again topped his dish with raw red onion, leading to Conant's memorable reaction.
I don't understand why the onions are there after we told you, especially myself, I didn't like raw onions, and you used them in the first course already.
Conant didn't stop there, letting the chef know exactly how he felt.
It kind of makes me angry.
Yes. Well,
You don't have to answer it unless you really want to, because if you're not going to listen to me, I'll just stop talking.
Wiggum defended his dish by claiming the onions added freshness, but Conant fired back.
If you move on to the next round, please, the dessert course, don't use raw onions.
Wiggum initially joked that he was thinking of an onion jam, but ultimately heeded Conant's advice for dessert. It wasn't enough to win, as his mistakes with the raw onion left him in a hole that was too deep to overcome. These days, Chopped judges are more restrained and have spent enough time on both sides of the table to hold back harsh criticism. Not so back in season 1, when the judges were still finding their footing and figuring out the tone of the show. That was on full display, where King Fajanakong exited after making striped bass with rice in the entree round. Despite rice not being a basket ingredient and admitting that he rarely used instant rice, Fajanakong included it as his side, leaving Amanda Freitag to complain that the rice was far too bland. When the judges deliberated, Freitag's comments paled to what Scott Conant had to say.
His rice was overcooked. The fish was overcooked. His sauce didn't come together. Frankly, I just feel like King has no place in this competition.
Conant heaped even more criticism on Fajanakong, saying,
He didn't show up in the first course. He definitely didn't show up in the second course.
When the contestants returned, Conant was blunt in chopping Fajanakong.
I'm going to try to control my anger towards the food that I've had today. None of your cooking components actually came together at all.
Conant then dropped the hammer.
Taking into consideration the two dishes that you've presented us with today, you can't move forward.
Scott Conant's criticism of King Fajanakong alluded to a failure in the first course, but the chef survived that round because Jonathan Jernigan's appetizer was even worse. Jernigan prepared seared sesame chicken wings with buckwheat pasta, using celery and string cheese as a garnish. The judges held nothing back. Amanda Freitag immediately started by saying her palate hadn't been teased at all, and Conant followed by calling it a cop-out that Jernigan had taken 2 basket ingredients and used them as a garnish.
You're a chef, that's what you do. You develop flavors. You don't put it on a plate and expect it to be what it is.
When the judges deliberated, Conant said the dishes made him angry, and Freitag said she wanted to cut both Fajanakong and Jernigan. Host Ted Allen delivered the stinging verdict.
The judges, frankly, were offended by your dishes. And they were strongly inclined to chop both of you.
Allen then revealed Jernigan's dish, and Jeffrey Zakarian delivered the finishing blow.
Jonathan, you were chopped because your dish failed on all 3 levels, on creativity, on presentation, and certainly on taste. We all thought it was just awful.
It's hard to do worse than that. Considering Chopped has been on for over 15 years, the judges have seen a lot of bad dishes, but few of them are as memorable as the dessert Mark Murphy savaged in season 17. During the dessert round, Chef Zoe Feigenbaum attempted to make a baked Alaska using bubble tea, papaya, coconut butter, and chocolate-covered frozen bananas, but she made the bizarre decision to hand-make the ice cream instead of using the ice cream maker. Murphy wasn't having it, saying that he was speechless and that it appeared to him that Feigenbaum had cut the papaya in half and shoved the frozen banana in. When Feigenbaum defended her dish, both Murphy and Alex Guarnaschelli said it didn't work. Murphy said the result was a mishmash of flavors, and it only went downhill from there. When the judges deliberated, Murphy further described it as raspberry papaya chocolate frozen banana before making a declaration.
What she actually made us was so offensive, it would have been better off if she hadn't served us anything.
After all that, Feigenbaum somehow still won. Kent Rollins accidentally cut himself and got blood into his food, meaning the judges couldn't taste his dish at all. Sometimes being a Chopped champion means you made the fewest mistakes. The 2011 episode A Cornish Mess is one of the most infamous in Chopped history because everyone made a chop-worthy mistake in the entree round.
Well, that entree round did not go well at all.
One chef failed to cook his Cornish hen properly, another forgot to chop one of her Cornish hens and served a tiny portion. But Chef Andrea Duvernay made the worst mistake of the 3 by putting her cooked Cornish hens back on the same cutting board where she'd had the raw hens. Scott Conant refused to eat it.
I can't eat this. You had the raw product on your cutting board. Then you cooked and then went back on the same cutting board.
For Conant, it was literally a matter of life and death.
Over 1 million people a year get salmonella poisoning from poultry. I'm not going to put myself in jeopardy by eating this.
Chris Santos then took Duvernay back to her station and showed her where she'd placed the cooked chicken, telling her that while he didn't want to embarrass her, the judges just couldn't risk it. The judges probably would have been harsher if not for the fact that Duvernay had lost her sister a week earlier. However, she was still chopped. Food Network Star was designed to be brutal. The contestants were trying to get their own show on Food Network, so hosts Bobby Flay and Giada De Laurentiis held nothing back. They wanted to put each contestant through the ringer to be sure they could handle the demands of their own show. So for them to think a judge was being too harsh took a lot. But that's what happened when Season 7's Jill Everman served risotto at a dinner party for Wolfgang Puck. Everman sold her dish as a sweet corn risotto with grilled asparagus, oven-roasted tomatoes, and Parmesan. But the words were barely out of her mouth before Puck registered his displeasure. Puck told her that her dish was not really a risotto, then rose from the table and stunned everyone by asking to enter the contestants' kitchen and show Everman how to make it. Bobby Flay buried his face in disbelief as Puck told Everman that a risotto must be liquid and served on a hot plate. As Everman told the camera that she wanted to cry her eyes out, Puck went step by step through making a risotto, then brought her back and told Flay to look at the dish that she had made.
Honestly, part of me wants to go home because I don't want to be embarrassed like this again.
Unfortunately, she got her wish. She lasted just one more episode before exiting. First rule on a Food Network competition show: never serve the judges anything inedible. You will get called on it, and it's probably going to send you packing. Eric Shelton forgot that rule in the final round of his episode of Cutthroat Kitchen, when he chose to include some of the rubber worm lures from the tackle box on his plate as a playful garnish. Judge Simon Majumdar wasn't amused. He picked up one of the plastic worms and stretched it before laying into the chef.
Yes. Never put something on a plate that could kill somebody if they don't know what to eat. Don't assume anything. You just don't know whether people are going to eat it or not.
Shelton didn't agree, stating that his diners at home would have gotten his take and known not to eat the garnish. But Majumdar was the final word, and Shelton got sent home with nothing. One of the most memorable Cutthroat Kitchen moments came when regular Food Network competition judge Jet Tila created a meme. Chef Dre had been hit with a sabotage of having to make chicken piccata with chicken nuggets and opted to simply bake the chicken nuggets without transforming the ingredients. Dre then tried to sell the dish as a breaded chicken piccata with a lemon jasmine rice. Tila immediately called him on it.
This is chicken nuggets.
Short, simple, to the point, and so devastating for Dre's chances. Tila eliminated Dre at the end of that round, and his parting comment proved even more devastating.
I just wish you gave me a little more effort in that plate.
When you make a dish and your flavors just don't work, that's one thing. When you don't put in the effort, you deserve to go. Even Dre knew it.
I don't think I turned those chicken nuggets into chicken piccata.
Most contestants on Food Network Star were genuinely excited to be there competing for their own show. Season 9 featured a notable exception in Danushka Lysek, who barely seemed to care about her performance at all. When Alton Brown announced a chopped-style challenge for the contestants, Lysek gave a noticeable eye roll at the start. Once the challenge began, Lysek said that she had made a batter for her hot dog out of boredom while waiting for another cooking ingredient, perplexing guest judge Alex Guarnaschelli.
No, seriously, someone has time to be bored.
She then barely sold her dish, leading fellow contestant Damaris Phillips to say that she didn't seem at all excited to be there, either in her presentation or her cooking. Lysek retorted that she was calm while cooking and didn't need all the smoke and mirrors, but the damage was done as far as Alton Brown was concerned.
I know you think the presentation starts when the clock starts. Everything that happens in front of a camera is presentation. All of it.
In the final judging of that episode, Brown held nothing back.
At best, your food is simple. More of a concern, you literally perpetuate an I don't care, I don't want to be here attitude.
And just like that, she actually wasn't there anymore. The Evilicious tournament finale of Cutthroat Kitchen featured 4 memorable returning contestants who supposedly knew how to play the game. Keyword, supposedly. Matthew Grunwald showed otherwise when he intentionally tried to sabotage his own dish at a cost of $31,500. After being teamed with Chef Gernard Wells, Grunwald inexplicably spent huge on a sabotage targeting his own partner, taking the salt away from Wells. Grunwald's strange reasoning? With their dish guaranteed to finish last, Wells would then take the fall and be eliminated. The first part of the plan worked, as their dish did indeed finish last. One problem though, Grunwald's meatballs ended up dry. Just as important, Wells managed to get enough saltiness out of his canned tomatoes, and Judge Simon Majumdar sent Grunwald home. Majumdar spoke for everyone when he said,
"He should have been thrown out just for being a doofus."